Fellow Falcoholics, what is up? Welcome to episode 347 of the Falcoholic Live. I'm your host, Kevin Knight, at Falcoholic Kevin, joined by my co-host, Adnan Ikic. We are here to try to answer the biggest question, which is, can the Falcons fix this broken offense, which got shut out for the first time in a long time last week against, if this was against the Bills, Adnan, we might have all kind of collectively been like, okay, well, it sucked, but like the Bills are like maybe the best team in the NFL, it happens, whatever. It was against the 0-2 Panthers that the Falcons got shut out, who arguably have the worst defense in football, which really, I think, portends some bad things about the state of this offense. So we're going to talk about that. We're going to talk about the injury report, check in on that, obviously talk a little bit about the upcoming game against the Washington Commanders, which the Falcons kind of desperately need to find a way to win that game at this point. We're going to get into all that tonight. Thank you guys for tuning in to the Falcoholic Live, presented, of course, by FanDuel. Adnan, how are we doing? How are we doing on this Wednesday night?
We're fine. A little tired. A little tired of this football team already, but man, I mean, we were just talking about it. It's only September. Normally we're not jaded like this until, November, December. But man, it kind of feels like, it feels like a pie in the face, sort of at this point of, you're so excited. And I'm not going to lie, like, of course, I was critical about the prospects of this team going into week one, coming out of camp and coming out of preseason. But I won't lie, not even the biggest pessimist thought that this team would do that against the Panthers. Like, I feel like that was one of those games that was just a given. It's like, oh, okay, or the Panthers, if you want to be serious, you have to beat the Panthers. And not only did you lose to the Panthers, but man, you got your pants pulled down against the Panthers. It was ugly. And I mean, getting shut out like in the year 2025, like there's no excuse for getting shut out against anyone, let alone the Panthers. Like, that defense is not good. But yeah, other than that, I'm fine.
Yeah, other than the fact that everything to do with this football team is falling apart, except for the defense. You guys get a pass. Other than that, yeah, doing great. It's been a rough week. It, like you said, we were ready, I think, to really get behind this team. I think we talked about, this was their opportunity to sort of make a statement by dispatching a lesser team. And what did we know? The lesser team was the Falcons all along. They were just sitting there ready to get their asses kicked. So,
Man, so
disappointing, to say the least.
We spent all last week's show talking about, will this team finally regain our trust? Like, yeah, this is the moment. This is how you can do it. They wouldn't have even regained the trust by winning this game. They would have just gotten into a position to regain, the trust. But then it's like, nope, we're not even going to do that. We're not even taking that step.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's we talked a lot of shit about the Panthers.
We did, yeah. Maybe we just reached some sort of critical mass that, like, they watched the show and it became bulletin board material or something. I don't know, but tough loss. The good news and the bad news is that it's week 3. But the good news is that there is a lot of time left. There are opportunities to make changes, and we'll see if the Falcons can make any of those changes. But we'll talk about sort of what we think the issues with the offense are, which ones of those are correctable and which ones aren't, how much is on the players, how much is on the coaching, that sort of stuff. And then, of course, get into this Commanders game. Before we do get any further, I want to bring you guys a quick word from today's sponsor. Once again, ZipRecruiter, folks. Let's be honest, it's rough out there in the hiring market, all right? It's tough for applicants. It's tough for hiring managers and employers looking for the right candidates. It's tough to get the right people to apply. It's tough to sort through all those resumes, and then getting in touch with the right candidates quickly. It could take a while as well. Well, don't worry, because the future of hiring looks much brighter with ZipRecruiter, because they've got the latest tools and features to help you speed up finding the right people for your roles so you save valuable time. And now you can try ZipRecruiter for free at ZipRecruiter.com/audio. With ZipRecruiter's new advances, you can easily find and connect with qualified candidates in minutes. Over 320,000 new resumes are added to ZipRecruiter every single month, which means you can reach more potential hires and fill roles sooner. No wonder ZipRecruiter is the #1 rated hiring site based on G2 at ZipRecruiter.com/audio. That's where you guys go if you want to use ZipRecruiter and save time hiring. 4 out of 5 employers who post on ZipRecruiter get a quality candidate within the first day. And if you go to ZipRecruiter.com, that's ZipRecruiter.com/audio. Right now, you could try it for free. Adnan, I could just tell you have a joke ready to go. Just
No, I'm just reading the comments.
Yeah.
Talking about how the Falcons to get an offensive coordinator.
Maybe they should. Maybe the Falcons should employ this next. But that's where you go, guys. ZipRecruiter, Arthur Blank. You can go to ZipRecruiter.com/audio. ZipRecruiter, the smartest way to hire. Yeah, I mean, maybe more than just the viewers should take advantage of this great service. They might have to. Maybe they can use ZipRecruiter to do their next coaching search. So
they need a wide receivers coach now. So ZipRecruiter,
yeah,
a great resource and tool for that.
Yeah, well, I mean, yeah, we fired the wide receivers coach, Adnan. So do you think all of our problems are fixed now? Are we good?
It was all on Kelly's fault. All of it. The offense doing so poorly. The offense being what is it? Scoring 14 points a game, which is second fewest in the NFL, 31st in the league. It was all like Hilliard. So mission accomplished, guys. We did it. We did it. Raheem Morris.
We got him. Yeah.
It was all like Hilliard and Zac Robinson calling plays from the booth. So now he's going to be on the sideline. This offense is going to take off now. We found the culprit. It was him all along.
The problem has been identified.
Yes.
Now we're ready to go. Yeah.
Mission accomplished. Mission accomplished, guys.
Hang a big banner. Yeah. Oh, man.
Yeah, no, the Ike Hilliard was a clear scapegoat. Clear scapegoat. I feel like this is what coaches who are on the hot seat do, and we've seen it with Dan Quinn. Except we never saw it with Dan Quinn in the middle of the season. But then again, Dan Quinn did buy himself some grace because he had some winning seasons before everything went to crap. Unlike Raheem Morris, who's never had a winning season here in Atlanta. I mean, but yeah, it's such a phenomenon, right? It's like you're sort of rearranging chairs on the Titanic a little bit, where you need somebody to throw under the bus. And I guess Ike Hilliard was the unlucky person. I mean, it's not Ike Hilliard's fault that, Zac Robinson is calling the offensive scheme that he's calling. It's not Ike Hilliard's fault that Michael Penix is just not pulling the trigger to these wide open wide receivers. It's not even his fault that these wide receivers are dropping passes. I mean, it's your job to catch the damn ball. So I mean, yeah, I that was so unmoving. It kind of felt like, all right, like what exactly are we doing here? Like it was clearly an overreaction, but it's like you're really gonna and the way they went about it too just didn't sit right with me. Talking about performance-based issues, like Ike Hilliard was a very respected member of that building, and it just sort of felt like I don't know. It felt a little grimy. It felt like they were just genuinely throwing him under the bus for this, when it's it's clearly not his fault.
Yeah. It rubbed me the wrong way too. I think there's probably some interpersonal dynamics at play there behind the scenes as to why Ike Hilliard was the one who was let go. We don't know the details of that, and probably won't for a long time. But it's it's unfortunate. I don't really think anyone deserved to be fired for that game. I mean, maybe people will deserve to be fired really soon, but I mean, 3 weeks into the season seems like kind of an overreaction to fire anyone. I don't know how you could really evaluate much in that time frame, especially when he coached up these receivers better than TJ Yates did the previous 3 years, I would say, last year. So
I mean, Darnell he had a career year last year under him. Drake London continued his ascension last season. And I mean, this year, Mooney's been out for, Mooney's still not 100%, let's be honest. Like, he's been out for way too long. He just got back on the field. Your wide receiver 3, no disrespect, but Ray McLeod isn't the best slot receiver in the league. And then Drake London, I mean, is it Ike Hilliard's fault that Drake London's fumbling the football against the Vikings? Is it his fault that Penix is overthrowing these guys? Like, come on, man. I feel like he was done dirty a little bit.
Yeah, I agree. So, nothing we can do about that, Ike. Best of luck to you going forward. But,
congratulations, Ike, on getting off the sinking ship, by the way.
Escaping. He's probably like, bye. See you guys. Yeah, I mean, at this point, I really don't think that's going to fix anything. That's not the fix. That's not the way to fix this offense is firing coaches 3 weeks into the season. But, um, it does seem like a big part of the issue is with the coaching staff. I'm not sure how much of it was like Hilliard's fault. We also know that, Mike Penix has not played well enough. He's not been hitting the receivers that have been getting open. He obviously made some bad decisions with the football on Sunday. The receivers, as you mentioned, dropping a lot of passes, very sloppy at times. Guys aren't where they're supposed to be in the passing game. There's a lot going wrong in basically every level of this offense. But where do you see sort of like where should we go first? Like what's the first issue that they should address in fixing this offense?
Look, man, my first thing is Zac Robinson needs to. Well, first they need to get on the same page, right? Like we saw it in the press conference today. Raheem Morris is saying one thing about the offense being predictable and, we need to figure it out. And then Zac Robinson, not an hour later, oh, no, I don't think it's predictable. I don't think that's the case. It's like we don't even have like clear communication in the building right now. Like your boss clearly sees it otherwise. So, I mean, honestly, I do feel like there's a lot of blame to go around. With Zac Robinson, I do feel like the way he's calling these games it feels amateurish in a way. It feels like someone who is now, playing a game of Madden for the first time, and they're doing the exact same thing over and over again whenever they want to run the ball, and the exact same thing over and over again whenever they want to pass the ball. What was the stat? Whenever the Falcons line up in the shotgun, they pass it, 92% of the time. When they line up in the pistol, they run it like 72% of the time. That's ridiculous. Like in the NFL, like you're just telegraphing to the opposing defensive coordinators exactly what you're going to do based on what formation you line up in. Like you can't do that at this level, and then when you get called out on it, you just sort of say, oh, no, I don't think it's a problem. We're not really that predictable. To who? Like, I feel like that press conference today, like, it sort of made me, like, my opinion of Zac Robinson diminish even further. It feels like you're just sort of, it feels like you're just sort of too hard-headed. You just think you're the smartest person in the room, which I do know that, a lot of these offensive coaches have that sort of, mentality sometimes, and we saw it with Arthur Smith as well. But it's like it's clearly not working. You're the 31st scoring offense in the league this year. Now that being said, it's not 100% Zac Robinson either. Like I know it's easy to scapegoat him as all right. All of our problems are starting and ending with Zac Robinson. Zac Robinson's a big culprit. Michael Penix has to be better too. Like based on what we saw in that Panthers game, going back looking at the film, there were some open receivers, and he's just not throwing the ball. He seems incredibly gun shy, and that's very, very troubling. Like it's very troubling because at this level, given how fast this game goes, it's hard to get these wide receivers open. You have to take advantage of that. Like you have to instinctually let it rip. You have to throw that ball, and that's something Penix was doing last season. I don't know what the hell happened. I don't know who told him what. In between that week 18 Panthers game last year and this week 3 Panthers game this year, but that does not look like the same quarterback out there. And I mean, Michael Penix told you himself in the press conference, yeah, when the receivers are open, I have to throw the ball to them, which, obviously, but it's like, let's do it. I don't know. It feels like the only thing that's not going wrong with this offense right now is Bijan Robinson, who's excellent. And even then, you saw the NFL Live guys breaking down some of the film of the limitations in what the pistol offense was doing to the run game, where the Falcons aren't really utilizing Bijan Robinson to 100% efficiency because of what they're doing, because he's lining up, 8 yards behind the line of scrimmage, and you can't really fully take advantage of when your offensive line gets a push. So it's so many problems. It's so many issues. And anyone that tells you, oh, it's just this one thing and it's going to fix it, that's not the case. That's not what's going to happen. There's so many moving parts. There's so many parts that are just wrong right now. And I mean, the Falcons have a lot to do to fix them. Luckily, Very, very luckily, they have a bye week coming up next week. And as much as we bashed that bye week when the schedule first came out, that could be the thing that possibly saves this team's season, that early bye week. And I'm not just talking about, me and Norton may come back, AJ Terrell may come back on the other end of it. I mean, like, this team needs a full reset. And that bye week may be exactly what the doctor ordered, but it's not going to be if nobody recognizes the problems and if nobody does anything about it, which, it sounded like based on the press conference, Zac Robinson's not really recognizing the issues right now.
Right. Yeah, it's definitely a little dicey with that. I mean, I don't know how you explain that. That is concerning to say the least. But we get to a couple questions here before we continue our discussion of this offense. We got machine learning excellence with just the $2 comment. Why is Raw still not been fired? Well, to be honest, I think firing him after 3 games is aggressive. I think firing any coach after 3 games, maybe if you're like 0-3 and you're coming off a really bad season, like that's when you could see that happen. But that's not something that's going to happen here. I'm not really expecting any move like that for a while still, and I think that would be premature. Not to say that he won't eventually be fired or something like that, but at this point, I don't think it's surprising that he hasn't been. And then Raymoon says the $2, how many formations do we see on Sunday? Well, between 1 and 3, right? Because that's all, they don't use any other ones, as far as I know. But yeah, like there are always tendencies with these formations. Like shotgun is a pass heavy formation, and pistol is a run heavy formation. And the pistol stats in particular are like pretty close to league average. I think the shotgun stats are pretty extreme. But the pistol is, I think the Falcons are within like 10% of other teams, with the pistol. With the shotgun, not really. But it's just like when you are doing that and you're not, like, to me, the biggest issue is the lack of play action in this offense, because it's something that was just a staple of Penix's game in college. It's a big part of the disguising of your offense. It's a nice way to just give your passing game just a little bit extra and slow down the defense just a little bit. Falcons run play action at the 4th lowest rate in the NFL, and that just seems completely out of sync with what your quarterback is giving you, what your quarterback's strengths are. And like you said, like, I don't really understand. Like, yeah, Penix ran a lot of pistol at Washington, but like, if you were like concerned about his ability to run from under center to do stuff like that, why wasn't that like a point of emphasis this offseason? Like, I understand last year wanting to put the first year quarterback in an offense that was very familiar to help sort of smooth over the transition to the NFL. But this is year 2. Like, this, in his second offseason, you couldn't like work on some under center snaps, like get used to that a little bit. Like, you had all offseason to get Penix ready to play in every formation. Like, he knows shotgun. It's not like he's never played under center. It just wasn't something he did a ton in college. Like, I question why we're keeping this. Like, I feel like they implemented this offense for Kirk because he couldn't really take, plays under center with his injury. And then they just kind of kept it. And I don't really feel like there's a good reason to just keep it. Like, and also, like, there's nothing inherently wrong with pistol or shotgun or under center, but like, just I think the overemphasis on the pistol, which is, by far the most of any team in the NFL. I think the only other team that uses the pistol as a primary formation are the Ravens, who they obviously execute it well, but they also have a running quarterback. That makes a big difference. The Falcons aren't running any option plays out of the pistol, so that kind of, to me, makes it a little bit even more weird. But like, I don't know. I don't really know what the explanation is, what the obsession is with the pistol versus the shotgun or any of these other formations. But it's just it's not working. They have to find some way to get everyone on the same page and to make Penix a little bit more comfortable and figure out a way to get some spice back in this offense, but also just get things on track. Like, to me, the whole offense kind of feels like stuck in the mud. Like they can get big plays, they can get some good runs, they can string some plays together here and there, but they can't finish drives. And I think that's because the offense as a whole is just not cohesive. It feels like it's held together with like duct tape or something. It just something about it just feels very like amateurish, like you said.
Yeah, and the thing is, like, play action this year, you look at the frequency, works. Like you see it charted out. All of the best teams in the league, the most successful teams right now through 3 weeks, are the ones who run the most play action. And then you have the teams who are the worst who just don't run the play action. And it's so weird because this isn't a Sean McVay thing. Like, it's not a Sean McVay philosophical thing. The Rams are number one in the league in play action. So this is clearly like a Zac Robinson has taken it upon himself to, like, change something up. Like, the Falcons are running motion like the Rams are, like the Dolphins are. But it's like the Falcons and Dolphins just refuse to run play action. And it's like, it's so inexplicable. But what else is inexplicable is they're so over reliant on the pistol for some reason, when last year, like, they adapted out of it. Like, remember game 1, Kirk Cousins was always in the pistol. Then game 2 came around and they realized it's not working, so they switched it up. They had him, playing under center, doing some play action. I don't understand why you can't do that now. Like, it worked last year. It's like, do you genuinely think that Michael Penix can't take the ball from under center? And if you think that, we have way more issues than just what we're doing so far this season. But I mean, yeah, obviously can play under center. But yeah, it's weird. Like, there's just no good vibes around this offense, and that's it's so concerning. It's concerning because the offense was supposed to be, the side of the ball that carried the team. Like, the defense is holding up their end of the bargain. Nobody expected this defense to be elite or anything, but so far through 3 weeks, the defense has been better than expected. But then the offense is just completely cratered. Like, this is, I did not think in the most nightmare scenario that this would be a bottom 3 offense through 3 weeks, and that's exactly what they are. The only offense scoring less than them right now is the Houston Texans. They have their own issues over there, like that they can't block anyone. And then, the Cleveland Browns are scoring more than you. The New Orleans Saints are scoring more than you. Like, these are offenses that people knew would be bad. That's Spencer Rattler and Joe Flacco under center. And those guys are outscoring this offense of all top 10 picks that, Michael Penix predicted before the season is going to be the number 1 offense, in the league this year. Like, it just feels silly. It just feels like, we didn't see it coming, but then it's kind of like almost the joke's on us, because how could we not see it coming? Because of course this franchise always sort of, disappoints you in surprising ways. And if the offense doesn't get fixed moving forward, like, it's going to be rough. Like, we're going to get into this Washington game here in a little bit. If you cannot take advantage of these Washington injuries that we'll talk about, and if you go into that bye week 1 and 3, you're coming on the other end of it against Josh Allen and a Bills team that's arguably the best team in the league right now. Then you have the 49ers, who are, going to probably be getting healthy at that point. Brock Purdy will be back from his turf toe. George Kittle is eligible to get off IR. Jawan Jennings is probably going to be healthier. They still have CMC trucking over there. It can get rough. And this is what we were worried about before the season of, we need to win 2 of these first 3 games. You really need to be 2-1, ideally against the division rivals. The team lost against both the division rivals, so that's out the window. Because this part of the schedule, I don't care how long of a season it is. I don't care that it will be October at that point. I do not imagine that this team can bounce back from a 1-5 start. Like, the Rams did it last year, but the Rams were 1-4 because Puka Nacua and Cooper Kupp were injured, to start that season. The Falcons have been healthy. Like, sure, you're down McGarry. McGarry's out. Like, don't factor him at all this year. Storm Norton's going to be back soon. AJ Terrell's out, like, for a couple of weeks. That sucks. But it's like, outside of that, you haven't had many major injuries. Counting this Washington game, every single team that you have faced has been way more banged up than you. So don't even use injuries as an excuse. Like that's doesn't even register. But yeah, 1-5 I feel like would be a death sentence, and I feel like at that point they probably need to look into making more permanent and more impactful changes than just getting rid of the wide receivers coach.
Yeah, yeah, there's no doubt about that. And just I don't think the offense has a it doesn't seem to have an identity. Like, and that was the weirdest thing. Like last week, we saw the Falcons stick with the run game, even when like early on it wasn't really working. Like it took a little while for it to get going, which is common for run games. But by this time the second half rolled around, the Falcons were just bulldozing the Vikings. They were only down 10 at the half. Like it it was just odd to see them abandon. Like the Panthers are one of the worst run defenses in the NFL. They were allowing 5.2 yards per carry. The passing game was starting to struggle, and they just kind of abandoned the run. Like, and they came out throwing in this game too. Like, just the whole like I liked the plan last week of like let's not try to throw the ball against Brian Flores. Let's not ask Penix to try to decipher that defense and just run the ball. Even though we know the Vikings have a good run defense, we think we can just wear them down. Going into this game, I was like, yeah, maybe they should pass more, but I think they should still like lead with the run game because the Panthers probably can't stop it. And they ran a little bit on the first couple drives, and then they just kind of started throwing it every drive. They acted like they were down 3 scores, and then they were down 3 scores eventually. But it just, I don't know. I feel very bad vibes about this whole offensive design. I think that, I mean, the individual play designs are fine, but they're too samey. You know, we keep seeing the same plays sort of spammed, and I know there's more plays in the playbook. I just don't know why we can't get to them. I mean, it's bizarre. Like, are they saying that like Penix only knows like 5 plays, so there's the only 5 plays we can run? I find that hard to believe. Like, I mean, the receivers also seem confused about what's going on, and part of me wonders if a lot of this has to do with the calls coming in late. And like, you could get away with that with Kirk Cousins. Kirk Cousins can handle it. Like, he probably knows these plays like the back of his hand because they're not all that different from what he was running with KOC and all these other guys. But like, you with a young quarterback, you can't get the play calls in late. Like, he needs extra time, and these young quarterbacks need more time to decipher this stuff and get some pre-snap looks. But when Penix is having to run to the line and execute the motions, like, he doesn't have time to do his pre-snap reads properly. He's got to run around and scream the play calls to everybody. It's just like it all feels so like disjointed, and you're just not setting these guys up for success. Like, you know, the receivers, even like if you're getting the call to them like 2 seconds before they have to go get in their stance, like, they might also benefit from more time, like getting to look at the defense and where guys are aligned. Like, if they have choice routes to let them find their keys and all this stuff. It's like, it just, every like aspect of the operation on Sunday was not working right, and it led to every aspect of the offense not working right either. And I think Michael Penix does deserve a lot of blame. This was his worst game, but I think there's a lot of factors that contributed to that game, and you have to set up your young quarterback for success. You can't just expect people. You can't expect your young quarterback, unless they're like once in a lifetime guys, to come in and be able to like be a top 10 quarterback that doesn't need your help. Like, more than likely, the young quarterbacks are going to need schematic assistance to be able to execute this stuff, or they're going to need some, like, they're going to need to play to their strengths or whatever. These aren't established veteran presences. They need help. And I don't think Penix is getting much at this point. That's not to say that he played well last week. I think people saying he hasn't played well at all are not correct. I think he played just fine in week 1 and week 2. I wouldn't say they were his best games. I mean, we've seen him play incredible games last season. I'm just not really sure what's going on here, and it's concerning because it seems like it's so many things. And how can you possibly fix so many little things? Like, it seems like the whole offense is based around it.
Yeah, and the thing is, Penix is already dealing with a lot, even if the schemes are coming in correctly, and even if the play calls are coming in on time, and even if you're doing everything you can to put him in a position of success, because I mean, these teams are running these too high shell looks against him, and he hasn't been able to really figure that out. And the thing is, like, they're not going to stop. Like, if I was the opposing defensive coordinator, I'm running too high safety against Penix every single play, every single passing situation until he can prove that he can beat it. And I mean, he hasn't, like, you take away that deep ball, and Michael Penix is, dealing with some of those weaknesses that everyone talked about coming out of college, and some of those weaknesses that we talked about, during training camp we don't know exactly, if he is going to be that guy yet, because we still need him to, make those touch throws, to have that accuracy on the short to intermediate game, to progress through his reads. It's not just Michael Penix. I talked about it on the show on Sunday. It just feels like the vast majority of this entire generation of new quarterbacks just doesn't know how to progress through their reads, as effectively as they need to. And maybe that's just what, we spent a decade being spoiled by arguably the greatest quarterback like generation in NFL history, and all of these vets who could just, dissect you and pick you apart, going through their third, fourth, fifth read, and then back to their first read if need be. But like right now, Michael Penix is having to deal with that. He's having to deal with the defenses, playing, and he's having to deal with the defenses exploiting his weaknesses, and he has to work through that. And if you're not helping him through that, if you as a coach are making his life more difficult by forcing him to snap the ball with 1 second left every single time, and forcing him to be in this panic and this anxiety of, all right, when's the play call coming in? Are we going to be able to motion this guy out in time? Are we going to have to suffer a delay of game? Do we have to take a timeout? It's just a recipe for failure. And I mean, we saw that failure in week 3. And I mean, even in week 2, if the defense didn't play the way that the defense played, we might have been having another conversation about Penix's performance. But yeah, right now it's not good. Right now, there's a lot that needs to be adjusted to. There's a lot that needs to be figured out. And, before you know it, I know it's early in the season, but we see it with every NFL season. Early becomes late very, very quickly, especially if things are going wrong.
Yeah. Yeah. It's disturbing. I hope they can figure it out sincerely. We all want this team to succeed, and the good news is it is early. I don't know that it's really like, again, I don't think the play designs are bad. I think they just need to mix it up more. They need to have more cohesion with what they're doing and how they string plays and drives together, and lean on the run game. Like, if Penix is struggling and they're playing 2 high safeties, run Bijan Robinson, for God's sake. Like they're going to have a hard time stopping it. I guarantee that. Yeah, they're going to, there's only so much you can do to stop the run when you're running 2 high safeties. I'm sorry. It's just, if you think you have a good run game and they want to play, teams refused to play too high against the Falcons in previous years, and it was why the run game under Arthur Smith always felt like it had a ceiling on it, because the Falcons just couldn't threaten deep. And now the Falcons aren't really throwing the ball super well, but teams are still playing too high because they feel like they have to respect the threat of what Penix can do throwing the deep ball. So just run the ball. If that's what teams want to do, just run the ball. Run the ball until they change.
Yeah. That's a great equalizer, and that's kind of what's bringing the running back to the NFL a little bit. Of all these teams are running 2 high safety looks. It's like, okay, hand the ball off, but then that's where you need to use play action too. Hand the ball off, you're running effectively, and the Falcons have run the ball effectively. It's pretty much the only thing they've been able to do right on offense these first 3 weeks, and you're not even completely taking advantage of that. I feel like play action would be immensely effective with the threat of Bijan Robinson in the backfield. Immensely effective, but they just sort of are bailing the defense out by refusing to do it.
Yeah. Yeah. They just need better. They need better from everyone. We're not giving anyone a pass here. The receivers in particular, you guys, you have a young quarterback. You need to be where you're supposed to be on time and catch the damn football. It just that has to be fixed. There's no doubt about that. Penix has to see the open receivers and be willing. He just needs to let loose and be willing to attack downfield again. And it feels like it's been coached out of him. Like, it feels weird. Like, he's so timid this year, when last year he was just letting it fly. And, like, there were some dangerous throws last year, but you could just tell that he trusted himself to hit those tight window throws and get the ball where it needed to be. And it just feels like that's been sapped. So I wonder if the Falcons are like have coached him to be more conservative, and I think that's a mistake. Like, you got to let him play like he plays. Like,
yeah, if they have, all of them need to be fired like immediately. Like it's that's completely, that would be a completely ridiculous philosophy. And I mean, look, man, I would say there's no way they did that. But then again, you know what? I'm not putting anything past them. I'm putting nothing past them, because I can't think of another explanation. Like, this is not the same quarterback as we saw at the end of last season. I'm going to make the comparison. If you're looking at an NBA game or a basketball game, and you have that, 3-point specialist, that 3-point shooter, who, let's say he's missing a lot of shots. Let's say he's like 1 for 9, like in the game. There's a reason why the coach tells him to keep shooting the ball, because the second he stops shooting it, he's useless. Like, you're playing 5-on-4 at that point. There's no reason for him to be out there. At the very least, you have that threat of him hitting that next 3-pointer where the defenses have to, be kept honest. And yeah, I don't know, because it's like, I don't know how to explain it. I don't know what to say about it. Like, looking at some of that all 22 footage, these guys were open, like on the pick six. I think it was Darnell Mooney was streaking like wide open, like, down the middle of the field, and Penix was looking his way, but then just like didn't throw it. It's like, why aren't you throwing the ball? Like, for what reason? If you are passing up on these open looks, on these, open reads, you're doomed. Like, you're completely doomed. You're handicapping yourself.
yeah, I don't understand that. That is one of the more concerning things, I think, and hopefully that can be fixed. Whatever's contributing to that, we can nip that in the bud right away and start getting this offense right on track. Because, like you said earlier, the defense, I thought, like, they did everything they could to keep this game manageable. And even when the offense had done absolutely nothing through basically 2 pick sixes, I mean, the second one wasn't technically a pick six, but they got the ball down to like the 10. Like, I mean, like they allowed like less than 230 yards, and Bryce Young had like 150 passing yards, 3.7 yards per carry for their running backs, who are good. Like, the defense is like legitimately good. Like, and it's so sad. It's like, oh yes, well, we would like a good defense, and then the monkey paw curls, and now the offense sucks. Like, it's just like, I don't get it. But like, yeah, they did. Like, I think Jeff Ulbrich deserves to kind of be exempt from all this nastiness, because I think he's put together a really fun defense with a lot of young players, that's getting it done. Like, that's doing what they need to do each and every week, giving this team a chance. And so shout out to Jeff Ulbrich and the rookies and the defense as a whole. And D. Alford, like, we've slandered D. Alford a lot on this program, and he deserves his props. This was
had a very good couple games.
Maybe he's just like Mike Hughes on it. Maybe he just needs to play outside. Like, maybe he just needs to go back to playing outside like he did in the CFL. Maybe that's his secret. But
he looked good against Justin Jefferson last week, and that was like, okay, like, props, D. Like, that was very, like, keep doing that, and I may owe you an apology pretty soon.
Yeah. All right, we got a couple of donations here. We got $2 from Ray Moon saying, if Mariota wins on Sunday, how cooked are we? Well, I mean, no more cooked than we are right now, I guess. But also, we're not any better off. So pretty cooked, I guess, is what I would say. About the same as now, which is very bad. We're pretty cooked. We got $2 from Brandon. What's up, Brandon? Says, when you can diagnose Zach's play calls from the couch before the ball is snapped, that tells you things need to change. So at least 4 plays against the Panthers last week that I knew the path they were running before they took the ball. Zach needs to put Madden easy mode down. Yeah. There's a lot of plays like that, and they need to like diversify some of these outlets too. Like, they can't just have the running back leak as their only outlet on these plays, because defenses are just going to start sending someone down there every play. Like, you got to have, maybe it's a tight end on some plays, maybe it's the running back on some plays, maybe the running back goes through the offensive line and sits down in front. We've seen that happen before. Like, you just have to mix it up. You just can't use the same thing every time. Not that the running back leak is like bad. Like, that's a very common outlet. It's a good one, especially when you have a good receiving back, but it can't be the only one you've got. And then we got Corey with a spicy take here with the $2 saying Kirk Cousins gives us a better chance to win right now. So a couple things with this. That it's really hard to answer that question. I think this is kind of like a wishful thinking take. That like I don't really think that he does, because I think people forget how immobile Kirk Cousins is, and that he can't, like, this offensive line is allowing pressure, and I don't think he would be successful back there. Now, Kirk Cousins can hit the middle of the field better than Penix, but you could see it when Cousins played. Like, the velocity on his throws is still not great. Like, I think on one of his passes against the Panthers, like, he had to hit one of those out routes across his body, and it was barely there before the defense. Like, it was almost another pick. So, I think it's Kirk Cousins probably is obviously better as a processor. There's no doubt about that. But I think his limitations like make him not necessarily a better chance to win. And there's also the fact that like they can't go to Kirk Cousins. They just can't. Like it would be suicide for the whole regime if they go back to Kirk Cousins now. So even if he was better, they couldn't do it. But it would also be ridiculous to go back to Cousins after one bad game from Michael Penix. So, maybe Kirk Cousins will play at some point, but it's not going to be anytime soon. It'll probably won't be till late in the season at most. So, but yeah, I mean, if Michael Penix absolutely implodes like Kirk Cousins did last year, 4 straight games where he can't do anything, then yeah, maybe Kirk Cousins comes out. But other than that, I kind of don't see it. But what do you think about that, Otto? Do you think do you think there's a chance that Kirk Cousins gets back on the field this year?
I don't think it's too far-fetched to say that Cousins probably gives them a better chance. I mean, we don't know unless we can like see it, because what we saw last year toward the end of the year, that version of Kirk Cousins, absolutely not. But then again, he was hurt. Like the version of Kirk Cousins before that Saints hit, I feel like I feel like that's a better quarterback. But I think you're completely right. Like, you cannot play quarterback musical chairs. The only scenario where I can foresee it is if Raheem Morris really, really feels that his job is on the line, and let's say Penix, like you said, really struggles these next few weeks, and the team is losing. And, maybe they're 1-5 going into that Dolphins game, and you really need to make some change. I feel like at that point, like they're not looking at the future anymore. They're not looking at, all right, like what's this going to do to Michael Penix moving forward? What's this going to do for next season? They're looking at, all right, how do I save my job like right now? How do I save it immediately? And in that case, I think we could foresee a change, but I do think this conversation is very premature, very, very premature. Like you said, like, say what you want about the week 2 game. I mean, Penix didn't have to do more than he did. He was terrible in this last game, but one game is not enough to start having this conversation. I think Michael Penix is going to be fine. I think right now, we're going to see a lot about Michael Penix, about how he bounces back, about how he reacts to this sort of game. And I feel like this Sunday's game against Washington, this is going to be a very, very important moment for Michael Penix in the very early stages of his career. And how do you bounce back? Like, you have been struck by adversity. You've been, punched in the face by an NFL defense, by your division rival. Are you going to be able to pick yourself up off the mat, and are you going to be able to adjust to the too high safety look? Are you going to be able to adjust to what these defensive coordinators are giving you? Or, are you going to wither? And, that's the premier question that's being asked of Michael Penix right now. And I feel like the frustration that we have with Zac Robinson is you as the coordinator have got to give this guy a chance to bounce back. You've got to do everything in your power to put him in an environment to be as successful as possible, especially as a young quarterback who just had a very poor game, where you need to build back his confidence, and you need to do everything you can to ensure that he gets back on track. And I don't feel like anyone in this fan base, rightfully so, has that trust in Zac Robinson at the moment.
Yeah, that's true. And it's funny the Zac Robinson going down to the sideline thing. Infamously, that was what Kyle Shanahan did. Before they went to the Super Bowl, and it also like didn't work for Dirk Cutter, or maybe it did work for Dirk Cutter when he did it back with Matt Ryan. It just feels like all of these coordinators start up in the booth and then they go down to the sideline in their second year in Atlanta at some point. Like I don't really know if it makes a difference or not, but it's just funny that it's happening again. So,
I don't think it matters, bro. I feel like that's something that like people are like, when you start grasping at straws, you grasp at every single straw, and it's like, oh well, Zac Robinson's now going to call a better game if he's on the sideline. Why? Like, based on what? Like, who cares?
Yeah.
Like I need my OC to just call the plays the proper way. I don't care if he does it from the booth or from the sideline.
Yeah. Yeah. I don't really get it either. Seems like much ado about nothing. But let's move on here over the last little bit to talk about this Commanders game. Right now, per FanDuel, Falcons are 1.5-point underdogs in this game against Washington, which seems pretty generous. Also shows you that the betting markets aren't really overreacting to this shutout. Like, I think the betting markets are giving the Falcons a lot more respect than Falcons fans might be. But it is at home. It's week 4. The Commanders are obviously very beat up, and the Falcons defense is good. So, I mean, that does obviously help equalize things. But let's take a look real quick at the first injury report here. We've got for the Falcons. So Kyle Pitts was limited with a toe injury. These limiteds, wouldn't worry too much at this point. Jamal Agnew limited for the first time in a while. So, maybe he could be back on the field for a few games before we lose him again. And then DeMarco Hellams limited with the hamstring. James Pierce still limited with his groin injury, but he has been playing through that. Casey Washington limited with his concussion, so hopefully that means he's getting closer to return. And then 3 players did not participate. Kadarrell Hodge with the groin, AJ Terrell with the hamstring, and then Nate Carter is a new addition with the hamstring. He did end up leaving that game. And then let me get Falcons website is not showing the Commanders injury report. Wow. Probably could have checked that before now.
That's the big one to talk about.
Yeah. This is the one that matters here. Okay, so it's a big injury report for the Washington Commanders.
You notice everyone's had a big injury report against the Falcons this year?
Yeah, the Falcons are like the kiss of death for these injury reports. It's like, yep. We got Terry McLaurin's a big one, obviously. He has a quad injury that he suffered against the Raiders. Tight end John Bates, the groin injury. Noah Brown with a knee injury. And Percy Butler, the safety, with a hip injury. And then Bill, Ja'Cory Krosky-Merritt, their new starting running back, he did not participate with a knee injury as well. Jaden Daniels was limited with his knee sprain, so we'll see if he can make his way back. And then Trey Amos has a shoulder injury and was limited. And then tight end Colson Yankoff was limited with a hip injury. He was full. So he was full with a hip injury, but it seems like he's making his way back. Several players had a veteran rest day, but not too much else going on here. So I know also safety Will Harris. I'm not sure if he was starting for them or if he was more one of their special teamers, but he was placed on IR, I believe. With a he was placed on IR with a broken fibula. That's not good. So, yeah. So, at this stage, obviously the Commanders look pretty beat up on Falcons are dealing with their own stuff, but it seems like it's not too crazy at this time. But how are you feeling going into this game about this matchup? This is suddenly a very, very critical one for the Falcons.
I mean, ask me specifically after we find out if Jaden Daniels is playing or not.
Right.
Because right now he has a knee sprain. Look, a knee sprain is not a 1 week injury. I know he went back and finished that game against the Packers after supposedly injuring it, but and as we all know, it's a hell of a drug. And he was out this past Sunday. I feel like had the Commanders not looked as good as they looked on Sunday, because I mean they kicked the shit out of the Raiders, and I mean they won that game with Mariota. I feel like had they looked worse, there would probably be a higher chance of Jaden Daniels playing. But part of me is thinking that maybe they try to buy some time, because I think they not have a bye week next week?
I'm not sure if they do. Yeah, I'd have to look it
Um,
up.
because if they no, they don't. My
Okay.
apologies.
Yeah.
I confused them with I think the Packers. Yeah, they played the Chargers. But yeah, I feel like had they not gotten the win, and had they if they weren't playing the dysfunctional Falcons, maybe they sort of rushed Jaden Daniels back. But part of me is thinking that Jaden's maybe not going to play in this one. I could be wrong, but I feel like even if he does play, he's probably going to be at like 70%. I don't think he's going to be as mobile as what he would be normally. He's not going to be as mobile as what we saw from him last year, and that'll really sort of limit like what the Commanders and what Daniels can do on offense. Terry McLaurin, it seems like he's not going to play, like based on what they're talking
Yeah.
about with the quad injury. So I mean that could be a bullet dodge there. Noah Brown's also he's one of their wide receivers that does get a lot of looks, a lot of play time. We'll see what happens with Krosky Merritt. It is just Wednesday, but yeah, right now the two big ones are Daniels and McLaurin. If they're both out, I actually give the Falcons a pretty good chance of winning this game, because with Marcus Mariota, if you just shut down, his running ability, you put a QB spy on him. We saw this firsthand in Atlanta. He's not a very talented passer of the football, and if you can really make him into a pocket thrower and really limit his rushing ability, then I feel like the defense will be more than fine. But obviously, if Jaden Daniels plays and if he looks anything close to 100%, then it's like, okay, this is why we were so scared of this matchup going into it. But yeah, it's tough to tell. It's tough to tell right now on Wednesday. So I'll give it a caveat. If Daniels doesn't play, I think the Falcons will probably eke it out. If Daniels does play, then it may be a lot more rough.
Yeah. Yeah. It's tough. It'll be a tough game with Daniels, no kidding. And then I have to imagine that won't be easy with Mariota either, just because I don't know what the Falcons' offense is going to be capable of doing. Hopefully they just partied all week last week and just which
Oh, you mean
sucks
like
to
the
say
Falcons
that.
probably did after week
Yes.
2?
Yeah, they just partied all week, didn't take it seriously, and that's why they looked so bad. Because that's an easy fix. You just don't do that again. So so I hope that was the case, and that's the biggest issue. Because if it's more than that, then they really have some big problems going into this Commanders game. But yeah, I mean, I think that they could definitely benefit from some of these Commanders injuries. They're back at home. It's a good bounce back opportunity. You really need this win going into your bye. If you can be 2-2 going into the bye, it was a hella ugly 2-2, but it's fine. Like you can kind of put this all behind you, go into the bye week, probably get shellacked by the Bills, but that's okay. They do that to everybody. So
The only thing is, like, both losses, division losses, that's going to be tough to bounce back from,
yeah,
because right now, if the Buccaneers do what they're supposed to, if they sweep the terrible Saints, and if they sweep the Panthers, like, they have the tiebreaker no matter what. Even if you beat them in Tampa Bay in Week 15, which isn't a given, like, they have the tiebreaker. It's you have to finish ahead of the Buccaneers, and the
yeah,
Buccaneers right now, they're not losing games. Like, the Buccaneers have everyone just like dropping like flies around Baker Mayfield. Like, three offensive linemen are out. Mike Evans is probably going to miss this game. Chris Godwin hasn't played. Tristan Wirfs hasn't played yet, and they're just sort of like getting it done. And they're just figuring it out. And I mean, I feel like that's what having a really good quarterback and a really good coaching staff does for you. And yeah, I mean, yeah, the Falcons are losing ground fast at this point. If you are hoping to get into the playoffs through the division.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, the other side of the coin on is maybe we're just beating all of our wild card opponents, so we can get all the wild card time. We just give up on the division. That hasn't worked out for us. Now we're gonna try to win the wild card, and we'll just beat up all of our possible wild card. If we beat the Vikings, we beat the Commanders. We'll go beat the 49ers. We'll just beat all the wild card opponents and make sure we get the wild card tiebreakers instead. So.
At this point, by any means necessary, because this division isn't. The Buccaneers are the kings of the NFC South. Like, call it what you want, but they've won it 4 straight years, and they're en route to winning it a 5th straight year, which is really, really silly given how this division has gone, since its inception.
Yeah.
Because it was just forever. Like, these teams were all beating up on each other, and nobody was winning it really, really consistently. The Panthers had that 3-year run with Cam. Then and it wasn't until recently, like the Saints won it a few years. Now the Buccaneers have won it a few years. The only team in this division that hasn't won it, 3 years, or the Falcons have never even won it back-to-back years, I don't think.
Yeah, I mean, up until I think 2018, nobody had won it back-to-back years or something. It was crazy.
The Panthers won it 3 straight years.
Oh, that's right. Yeah. It was but before that, it had never been won back-to-back years or something.
But now, then the Saints won it 4 straight times. The Buccaneers have won it 4 straight times. The Falcons are the only team that's never won it back-to-back, and everyone else has won it at least 3 straight times, at least once.
Yeah. So maybe we can get on that at some point. It doesn't seem like it'll be this year, but maybe. I mean, it's still early. The Bucs are very hurt, and Baker Mayfield getting away with all these turnover-worthy plays is not going to continue. It's going to catch up to them, unfortunately. But still a hella fun team to watch, no doubt about that. But yeah, we'll just have to hope the Falcons can get back on the horse this week and find a way to get a win against the Commanders. Just stabilize things, go into the bye week, kind of get their shit figured out, and that's what we're gonna hope for. So, yeah, Adnan, we got one more question from Rod with the $2 saying, "Is this playoffs or fired for Raheem?" What do you think, Adnan?
Yes. I hope so. And it needs to be. And honestly, I mean, I've made no secret about it. I feel like last year should have been playoffs or fired. Like, the whole point of bringing in Raheem is he wasn't, and this is what they said. He's not a brand new head coach, so you don't have that new head coach lag, that first year where, you have a first-time head coach who's having to figure it out. And then, he still looked like a rookie head coach who had never done the job before. I feel like this should be borrowed time for Raheem. And if they don't make the playoffs this year, and if they don't make the playoffs, and if they still keep Raheem and Fontenot and this entire regime, at that point, that this franchise is just going to continue to be a joke. I'm sorry. It just, I don't know. I know that's a very blunt thing to say. I don't know how else to put it, because it's what exactly are we doing? These guys are career losers, and if they just lose again and don't have any success again this year, this will have been five years of Fontenot as GM without a playoff appearance if they don't make it this year. It's how many franchises are keeping a general manager through that who's never had success previously? I don't know. I won't know. I won't know what to say if they end up keeping these guys if they don't make the playoffs.
Yeah, I think Raheem is definitely done if he doesn't make the playoffs. Fontenot seems to be Teflon. And again, maybe there you could
is Fontenot just the new Rich McKay now?
It might be, yeah.
Are we not going to? Is he going to get promoted if he's not doing the job as general? Because that's what Blank did the first time.
Yeah,
McKay was a poor general manager, so Blank's like, "Oh, do you want to be president of football ops instead?"
Yeah, right. I just feel like if this draft class continues to look as good as it looks right now, and by the end of the year we're much more sure that Penix is the guy, maybe you could squint and say well, maybe the coaching is the biggest issue, but the coaching I think is the biggest issue, and maybe Fontenot is an issue as well. But I feel like Fontenot might be slightly safer, but I don't think Raheem should be safe if they don't make the playoffs. I can't think of any reason that would. Because Raheem is as a CEO coach, he's responsible for the offense just as much as the defense. And the offense looks terrible. Like, I don't know why you would sign off on not using play action. Like, in the year 2025, if my head coach is like, yeah, I'm fine if we don't use play action, you're fired. Like, that's the first question you should ask in the interview is like, yeah, do you believe in using play action as much as possible, when it makes sense? No, I don't like play action. All right, you're fired. Get out. I can't believe it. That this is something that teams are still like failing to understand in the year 2025. But, there's always bad coaches out there. There's bad schemes. Hopefully the Falcons can figure out what's wrong with their scheme and get it fixed up. But guys, thank you so much for hanging out with us here on the Falcoholic Live. Tough week. Hopefully this week will be I feel pretty strongly that we're not going to have to go through that again. So like it may not be pretty at various times this year. I don't really think we're going to have to go through that again. So thank you for surviving that. We'll be here for you. Don't worry, no matter what, on Sunday. We're going to have George Carmi on, one of my favorite Washington Commanders guys, for the game preview that's going to be out Friday. And then we will be back for the post-game show on Sunday, hopefully finding a big dub. It's going to be tough. It's going to be an important one to find a way to win. I think the Falcons can do it. Obviously, we'll know more about the injury report as we get through the week. But at this stage, just got to hope that the Falcons can make some quick changes and just lean on the run game if you have to. Like if the passing game is struggling, good news. You have two of the best running backs in the NFL. Just lean on the run game until you get it figured out. So my hope is that they can just figure that out, but I don't know if they can or not. But again, please like and subscribe if you haven't done so already, guys. Really appreciate that. It helps us out in a big way. You can also leave a 5-star review on your podcast platform of choice. Thank you. We're at 8,800 subscribers now, so we're getting closer to our goal. And then if you want to support the show, you could do so on Patreon, patreon.com/Falcoholic Live. Also can join up with the YouTube channel memberships if you want. Thanks again to FanDuel for presenting tonight's episode. Thanks again to Adnan Ikic at Say Which Way for joining me. Anything you're working on, Adnan, you want to let the people know about?
Yeah, series history. What if we win or lose? It's coming up. Yeah, that's going to be a rough article series to write if this team is really, floundering down the stretch. Just because normally it's like, okay, we can at least look at playoff odds, or look at not playoff odds, draft pick odds if the team is like 4 down the stretch, but can't really do that this year either.
Yeah, that could be a rough one. I'm not looking forward, to how dark some of those will get. Or maybe they'll just be like, oh, it doesn't really matter if we lose. Yeah, we're already cooked, so it's just like 2 sentences. So hopefully we don't get there. But yeah, thank you guys so much for joining us. I'm Kevin Knight. He's Adnan Ikic. We'll see you next time here on the Falcoholic Live and Dirty Birds and Brews podcast. Until then, enjoy the rest of your night. We'll see you guys on Sunday. Have a good one, folks.